Okay, the additive or the addition rule of probability, quite simple. Probability of A or B equals the probability of A plus the probability of B. The cup is an or, so you need to know your symbols. Where this is a quite straightforward rule, let's not make it harder than it is. Let's go back to rolling a die. Let's just say, what's the chance of rolling a 5 or a 6 when I'm rolling a die? So I'm going to state the rule as I have here. So the probability of rolling a 5 or a 6 will be the probability of rolling a 5 plus the probability of rolling a 6. Remember from our first video, we're going to use WOPO. Probability of rolling a 5, there's 1 5 out of 6 possible outcomes, and the probability of rolling a 6 is there's 1 6 out of 6 possible outcomes, 2/6, which is a third. So let's think about our answer. Let's think about our sample space. When I roll a die, the possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. For rolling a 5 or a 6, there are 2 of my wanted outcomes. I guess that 2 is written over here, and there's 6 possible outcomes. So it really does stand to reason that the chance of getting a 5 or a 6 when I'm rolling a die is 2 out of 6, which is 1 on 3. So our WOPO way of thinking about it agrees with our rule. So ideally, you need to use rules, but you will use your conceptual understanding of your WOPO to actually confirm what you're doing to validate some answers. So if you're in grade 9, you can stop watching now. That's it. That's all you need to do about the addition rule of probability. If you're in grade 10 or above, you need to keep watching because the addition rule gets a little bit harder. Okay. So for 10 and above, all your questions in grade 9 were mutually exclusive. They couldn't happen together. So the probability of a 5 or a 6, completely different outcomes. However, in the more complicated situations, it's not mutually exclusive, and these things can happen together. For example, what's the probability that I roll a 2 or an even number? So let's just think we're in grade 9 again. It's nice and easy. What's the probability of getting a 2? 1 out of 6. Probability of getting an even will be 3 out of 6, so we're thinking that's 4 out of 6. Doesn't really add up though, does it? Because when we look at a die, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's circle all the 2's or even numbers. Is 2 or even? Yep. Is 4 2 or even? Yep. Is 6 2 or even? Yep. So using WOPO, that's actually 3 out of 6, so that's wrong. Clearly what's happening is that thing there is in that number and that number. So because these outcomes are not mutually exclusive, they're actually dependent on each other, or rather they can happen at the same time. We need to account for that duplication through this subtracting the probability of A and B. So the probability of rolling a 2 and an even, let's circle all the numbers that are both 2 and even. Well, that's the only one that's both 2 and even, so there's 1 out of 6. So that gets rid of our duplication. So that 1 6 plus 3 6 minus 1 6 is 3 6, which is a half. And that makes sense with what we were thinking about before with our WOPO. So let's be very careful to make sure that we look for whether it's mutually exclusive, where that will cancel out to be 0, or whether they can happen at the same time and we need to subtract our AND probability as well. So be very, very careful and read your question carefully.